has modern feminism taught us? It's taught us that, well, it's taught us that women don't have very nice things to say about women. Almost none of the women that I know like women at all. When they do like women, it's usually because they want something. When it comes to being heard, you need a woman. You need a woman who gives a shit. If all she does is talk about her, she doesn't give a shit. If she makes everything about her, she doesn't give a shit. Why do we have modern rape society? Why are all of these rapists and child molesters getting away? Because of modern feminism. We cannot blame this shit on men anymore. We have too many women predators coming out of the woodwork and showing us how wrong we've been. Far too many. Who is more likely to sexually abuse your child? A male teacher or a female teacher? Statistically, a female teacher. But men. Isn't that right? So we've taught every woman in America that if she doesn't get emotionally what she wants, it's okay for her to go destroy a man's life with slander and false accusations. You all hear these. How many of you women have used these? And no, I don't expect you to admit it to me. How many of you have claimed that your ex did something that he shouldn't have done to you, even though he didn't? How many of y'all, after he kicks you to the curb because he's sick of your fucking incessant, non-stop, goddamn drama and fucking bullshit, you're non-stop complaining that he never does anything right? How many of y'all, after all of that bullshit, run around and say he wears girls' panties, he's a homosexual, and he touches little boys? A lot of the women who claimed that they were going to help me ended up doing absolutely nothing. Because they were man-haters. And many of them ended up doing the false accusation shit right on my fucking channel. Or right on my Facebook. Because it pops up in your timeline when you go accusing your ex of touching little boys, of wearing girls' panties, and of being a homosexual. And when 2 weeks later he's done with your ass, you're complaining because he owes it to you to take him back. He owes it to you to come back into your life and to fucking wipe your ass for you once again because now, after 2 weeks, you're lonely. He was a provider and all you can find. Oh, I'm hiccuping. All you can find is a 2-pump chump. There's a lot of men who are dipping out. Yeah, sure, you post up about how horny you are, but the way that you respond to the men who try to get your attention, it depends on the man. Whether you treat him like he's a fucking creep or you throw yourself at him like a $2 fucking hooker is dependent on his looks. Are you attracted to him or not? If you're not attracted to him, he's a creep. Though that's not true. If you're allowed to be attracted to people, so are men. If you're allowed to be attracted to that muscle-bound moron, then he's allowed to be attracted to you for your very same figure. If you want to call men superficial, then maybe you should take a look in the fucking mirror. Are you painting yourself up in a superficial way? Are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? Men don't try keeping up with the fucking Joneses. That's not what we do. We're not in constant competition with all of our female friends. We could care less. While you're in competition with the fucking Joneses, we're not in competition. We don't have the time to be in competition with anyone. As men in this country, in order to be providers, we have no time for ourselves. We have no time. Part of us being providers is being therapists for all of the women in our lives, because they're never going to shut up. They're never going to let it be your turn. When it is your turn, she's still going to make it about her. That is what modern feminism is taught. Men are to shut up. If a man speaks, blah, 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 blah. That's the problem with modern feminism. We've got women who won't shut up and don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because the only thing that they actually know is how to talk. Imagine if you sent your kids to school and in math class, all of the kids spent all of their time telling the math teacher what to do. When you go showing shit like Jeremy Meeks and Johnny Depp, and you type stuff like, oh, he could rape me if he wants to. Oh, I wish he would rape. How the fuck do you think that's okay? That is literally promoting rape. And you think it's a funny joke because he's a hottie? Are you fucking kidding me? It's not okay. With every woman out there knowing that she can pull one of the 3 lies, any one of those 3 lies will destroy a man's life. It doesn't matter how hard he worked for her, how much he sacrificed for her. The gratitude will never fucking be there. She will never be grateful. The moment you turn off the fucking faucet and stop pouring your entire life and being into sacrificing every moment to make sure that she is okay, understand that she doesn't give a fuck if you are okay. The moment that faucet is off, the accusations start. You're lazy, you're a piece of shit, you don't do nothing but play video games, you don't want to fuck her anymore. Of course you don't want to fuck her. You don't want to be in the same fucking room as her. At the same time, now you're stuck in a shitty situation. You can't kick her to the curb or you're a bad person. You can't tell her, hey, you know what? We don't have a family together. It's you staying at my house all day. We're not dating. You're fucking me for rent. That's basically what it comes out to. We know that we're being fucking used. And those of us who are not interested in your vaginas are the ones that you fucking kick the worst. Meanwhile, we got women who are being catered to, hand and foot, everything fucking handed to them. Services galore all over the country. We're spending over $100,000 a year so that women in specific can have free educations because they don't have the same opportunities in our society. You're right, they have more opportunities. A lot more. Including the opportunity to sit on their ass, do nothing, and get away with it. Because it is a man's job to take care of a woman according to societal roles. Feminism is not about unchaining women, it is about chaining men. It is about forcing us to give them what they want, that free ride, with nothing in return. Nothing in return. Oh, well, you get my friendship. What kind of a friendship is it? You mean when you ignore me for 6 months because you found yourself a new temporary penis, but then he beats you up and you're going to call me for help again? Yeah, that's a one-sided fucking friendship. That's not friendship. And eventually we get sick of these situations where it turns out the man didn't do shit to you. You fucking socked him in the head or fucking threw shit at him and he got fucking fed up with your shit and said, I'm done. When Harley Richmond was abusing Dallas in front of me, she was punching him. That was fine. She's allowed to do that because she's a woman. She's allowed to do it over and over again. But it wasn't the punching him that was a big fucking problem. He never kicked her out for fucking punching him. You know what he kicked her out for? Throwing hard metal objects. Some of them metal objects came pretty close to fucking hitting me. There were also some very heavy, hard plastic objects. Yeah, one end of the screwdriver is made of metal. The other end of the screwdriver is a hard chunk of plastic, and either one of those can do severe fucking damage. And it's not like it was a brand new fucking screwdriver either. But we allow women to do these things. We allow them to do it, and then we make excuses for them. We already have built-in excuses why it's okay for women to do these things. We're taught to say these excuses every time a man has a problem. A man is not allowed to have a problem. He's not allowed to have emotions. He's not allowed to express his emotions. If a woman asks him about his emotions, he's not allowed to speak. He'll be told that he's wrong for having emotions, that he's wrong-headed for sticking up for himself. For him believing that he should have the right to have emotions. Is that Christian? Nope. No, that's the guy that wanted me to give him meth over there at the Goodwill, and I told him no. He left with Christian a few days ago. Maybe I should ask him about it. He is fucking out of it. Oh, man. Sorry about my mind being on Christian. I'm not the only one worried about him. His friend Chris is worried too, so let's get back to the video though. Modern feminism is this idea that we, because we have penises, we owe it to women to spend our entire lives paying for them to have free shit. We got a bunch of lesbians telling us what we owe them. What the fuck do I owe to you? What are you bringing to the table, lesbian? For somebody like me, you're not bringing anything more or anything less than any other woman. Do you know why? Because I'm not having sex with any of you. Whether you're gay or straight, it doesn't make any difference. I'm not interested in sex because I'm not interested in the fucking drama. I'm not interested in sitting and listening to you complain about your friend, a female that you can't stand, for 4 hours, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to listen to you talk shit about your friend for 4 hours and then you go over to her house for tea or invite her over to your house for fucking coffee. And then listen to you be fucking two-faced to this other woman's face, followed by another 4 hours of listening to you bitch about her. After Jamie Curtis and that, God, what's Candy Hodges' daughter's name? Tracy Hodges situation? Shit, what'd Jamie do? As soon as Tracy was gone, she was talking shit on Tracy, and it's all Tracy's fault, and Tracy this and Tracy that. Holy shit. Jamie, she's one of the women who has nothing good ever to say about women. Ever. You also got to hear on my channel, Ryan Ingersoll, telling me not to help people, that it fucks me every time. Well, her situation was no different. When I helped her, it fucked me too. Women are taught that when they're angry, the first thing they're supposed to do is go slander your name door to door. And they do this to each other. They're taught to do this to each other. Jamie Curtis used to say things like, you know what, Sean, women change their minds as often as they change their underwear. And Sean, never trust a woman. And Sean, you know what? A woman is... There's a bunch of stuff that I can't say now because I have to worry that if I say those things, I'll get kicked off my own channel. Isn't that odd to say here in America? Land of the free, home of the brave, First Amendment and all that. You can't even type the word rape because somebody might be offended. But then that very same person can go shoving it in every single man's face. You're all rapists. You're all rapists. No, the fuck we're not. I'm not the one perpetuating rape. You are. I'm not the one letting these people get away. You are. I'm not the one making false accusations. You are. It's hard to believe any woman because so many women in our lives, and both men and women that I know admit this. So many men and women have admitted that they can't trust any of the women that they know, even if they're nice. If they need help, they can't go to a woman. Most of the women that you know, who are they going to? Even the lesbians. Who are they going to when they need help moving? A man's work is still below them. Then, of course, we're not allowed to judge all women based on these nurses who are murdering people or these teachers who are getting knocked up. The statistics for women show that there's a lot more men in prison for molesting children. Do you know why that is? Because a woman's average sentence is 8 months. In some places in this country, the average sentence is anywhere between 16 and 40 years. That's right, 40 years for a man. 16 years and 40 years. Now that's a lot of difference there between 8 months, isn't it? A 31-year-old teacher gets knocked up by a 13-year-old student in Colorado. What did she get? Jack shit. How about the teacher here in Tillamook who got a slap on the wrist? She was having sex with multiple underage people and she spent just a few days in jail. Isn't that amazing? This is what modern feminism does. It says that the men must have deserved it. You telling me that that 10-year-old boy who started getting molested by a woman when he was 7, that it was his fault, that 7-year-old should have been more responsible than a 24-year-old. We're supposed to make excuses. Women can't control their emotions. This is what we're taught. Women can't control their emotions. Men are expected to control their emotions at all points in time, but women can't control their emotions. This is what we're being taught. Women shouldn't have to control their emotions because they're not capable. They're not capable, blah, 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 blah. No, they absolutely are. You can keep your emotions in check. Yeah, sure. He decided he was done with your shit. That doesn't make it okay for you to be angry and go slandering his name like Rihanna did. Or like Maddie Boa did. And I'm going to make a special segment for Maddie Boa. That one is a very special situation. Just because she's a lesbian and you think that it's safe because she's not going to have a sexual interest in you doesn't mean that she's actually safe. Being a lesbian doesn't mean that she doesn't have ulterior motives. The most violent relationships that we have per capita, bar none, lesbians beat the fuck out of each other more than anybody else. Seriously. Who are the most likely people to commit suicide in this country? The number one people who transitioned from being a woman to being a man. Those are the most likely people to commit suicide. Many of these women have been taught their whole lives that men have it easy, and then they become a man and realize nobody gives a fuck about them. And how many of y'all women spend nearly all of your time with the men that you're around complaining about other women? Even you won't shut up about how horrible other women are, but you get on Facebook and you wanna argue that men are pigs. You want to type about how you need to get your guts smashed, which sounds really fucking revolting to me, just so you know. I mean, as if it's not bad enough that I'm grossed out by snot. I'm grossed out by mucus. Mucus is produced by your eyes, by your ears, by your nose, by your mouth, by your throat, by your anus, and of course, them front parts too. And then you gonna talk about smashed guts? What that reminds me of is having severe explosive fucking diarrhea. That's not sexy. Squish guts? It reminds me of fucking something that got ran over by a bus. Ugh. Guys are expected to let it go while women are still doing fucked up shit to us. Sandy Fromm, after all the fucked up shit that she did, well, there was a friend of mine named Ben Beardsley who was working on a road construction crew not far from her house. I got a hold of him. I said, hey man, could you call it in? There's a pig out on the road, like a literal pig from the farm down there. The lady and I don't get along. Could you call it in so the pig doesn't get run over? Of course, a week later, the fucking pig got ran over anyway. Why? Because Sandy Fromm couldn't stay off the fucking tequila. Meanwhile, we're told that this is all men's fault, men's fault, men's fault, men's fault. You don't want to turn in your predator. You're afraid it won't work. Well, when you come to someone like me, what I'm going to try to do is put a stop to it. When I was raped, I spoke out. When you were raped, you cut on yourself, got into drugs, and got into alcohol. That goes for both most of you men and most of you women. That's the hardest part about drug abuse, substance abuse. The reason that you have that substance abuse issue is because you're not having any assistance in dealing with the actual issues. Long-term abuse is usually the actual issue. Trauma is the gateway drug. Now, what we're getting is drama, and that drama is traumatic. You didn't get what you wanted, so you go lying about people. What did Rayanna do? Lied about me. The conversation with her and I, speaking about the situation, about how I lost everything because she fucking lied. At least she admitted that she did it because she was angry. She's not the only one. Look at Veronica Bruce and the fucked up shit that she did. And then her husband called me and she wanted to yell at me like I was a bad person for telling the truth. Same thing with Jamie Curtis, wanted to yell at me like I was a bad person for telling the truth. Take it down now. I will not. You are perpetuating rape society. You are commanding it to be done. Jamie Curtis is allowed to have a very, very active sex drive. Lan Engeline, too. Same thing with Jerry Sparks. Same thing with Amanda Payne. All of these women have extremely, extremely hyper sex drives. How is it that I was able to be friends with these women who have super overactive fucking sex drives? Well, I make myself not as pretty. I make sure I snort extra and often. Make sure to pluck my nose hairs once in a great while. Boing! On the bright side, women manipulated me out of everything in my life with sob stories. Not just the sob stories. It's sob stories because they wanted something. And then when they go back to a fucked up situation, I get to pay for it a second time. But I'm not allowed to have emotions. You say, oh, men are allowed to have emotions. The women who told me that treated me like shit for having emotions and assigned emotions to me that I didn't have. It is women and simp men who have made this country such a shitty place to fucking live. Such a shitty place to exist. You know, there are fat women out there who have come to the realization that they're not going to get Johnny Depp. There are lots of men out here who have accepted the fact that even that fat woman doesn't want them because they're not Johnny Depp. I'm also not Channing Tatum. I'm not Tyson Beckford. When it comes to the men I see in relationships, do they have something that other people don't? Yeah, resources. A lot of those men have resources because they got a family who helped them out, whereas a lot of people got into relationships and thought that their partner was going to pull their end of the load. Well, they didn't, but they helped to reduce the overhead. One person ain't enough to pay for the rent. two people is. Or one person is just barely enough to pay for the rent, but then they can't afford food or to go to work. Certainly couldn't afford to go do anything fun. If you're helping to pay part of those bills, that helps to free up their money so they can go do something fun. Candace Bondurant wanted to talk about how her children's father, James, was a useless piece of shit, never did nothing for her. But at the same time, he paid his portion of the bills. Because he was able to pay his portion of the bills, it was able to free up more money for her, and she was able to buy herself a nice vehicle. Now, because she was able to buy herself a nice vehicle and I couldn't, it was, oh, well, I earned this. You didn't. You coupled up with somebody. You paired up with somebody. There's a lot of people that I paired up with that we were going to work together. And once I fulfilled my end of the bargain, they dropped into some pussy or fell on top of a dick. They thought only with their sex organs. And then I get treated like I shouldn't have emotions. Like I'm a bad person if I have emotions. Well, people are allowed to threaten me and harass me and assault me. And what do you guys do? You look the other way. I don't have the right gender for you to give a shit. Even if I did, I'm homeless, and you're taught that we're horrible people. And even if that wasn't the case, the fact is I get called mentally ill. And that's a magic excuse for you to do nothing too. Or a magic excuse for you to harm me because you know you can get away with it. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. Before Natalie was killed, there was quite a few people that I dropped off. They were no longer my friends, like Megan and Erica. Now, Megan was in a couple of the articles at the very beginning talking about me a little bit. Erica and I never became friends again. But I dropped them off for a good reason. Because they were perpetuating rape society. It was all about looks and free shit, looks and free shit, looks and free shit. And if you don't get what you want, what happens? You destroy an innocent person's life. That was almost not good. I turned into the turning lane, and right after I did, that person turned into it. That could have been definitely not good. But I went the wrong way for coffee. Many of y'all women, because of the feminist movement, modern feminism, we're not getting free shit, so men are all horrible. Many of you have to deal with actual abuse and people aren't listening to you. You are just now starting to begin to understand what it's like to be a man, with the exception of the fact that there are so many services for you. There are so many services to help you. If you are irresponsible, well, we have to feel bad for the kid. You were irresponsible and had unprotected sex. That's not all men's fault, but we're all expected to go to work to pay for that. Many of you women who had unprotected sex, you're getting free college. Over $100,000 a year we're paying for you to go to college. That's over double what most men get in a year. Over double. All right? So that means 2 men working full time still won't be enough to pay for your college. If they pay every single dollar that they get, it won't be enough to pay for your college for a year. I want you to think about how hard we're working for you to be able to do that. For you to be able to have opportunities that we don't have. We do not have all those free opportunities. There aren't 10,000 initiatives to help men get assistance the way that there are for you women. That's the problem with special rights. We were supposed to be fighting for equality. When I say we, that's because I fought for you too. And I'm not the only one. A lot of us men fought for you. Just like a lot of white people fought hard for black people to be free. Let's go back and take a look at the situation with John Brown. Type that name in your Google search bar. John Brown. Find out who he was. Tell me about how much all white people owe you. All men owe you. Many of you women, because you perpetuated it, you helped out your female friends when they didn't get what they wanted right when they wanted it, even though you can't stand them. It's the us girls gotta stick together thing. When your female friends are predators, that us girls stick together thing is only hurting all of you and all of us. Why are there no good men? Because we have to deal with, we can't go to the gym. We can't have eyeballs because somebody will accuse us of being a horrible monster who just wants to rape them. You can eyeball us as you walk by all you want. You can gawk at us like we raped your fucking dog. Like we're the most sick, disgusting perverts on the planet, and you're allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to stare back at you, am I? Or it makes me a pervert, huh? And then a lot of y'all talking about how horrible men are. Still going out and getting that dick, ain't you? And I'm not talking necessarily penis. I'm talking about getting yourself a Richard. And then, of course, you want to complain about, well, body shaming. Any guy who doesn't do what you want right when you want him to do it. Oh, he must have little dick energy. Fuck off, cunt. You got a loose whorehole energy. It takes a lot of fucking work to pay for your free shit, lady. And then you're going to complain that the only thing you're bringing to the table is a fucking flappy vagina and a flappy mouth. It doesn't feel the same that way around, does it? It's somehow wrong for us to do it back, isn't it? It's okay for you to hit us. You're allowed to hit us for free, aren't you? Get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk to the folks in this here food mart, Chevron station, because they talk to me like I'm a person. They're pleasant and reasonable. Oh my God. How dare they? How dare they? Alright, there's two things I want to find here before I go in. That would be my lottery ticket. See if it's a winner. And there's more. Is that my lottery ticket? No. Modern feminism is the idea that if you don't get what you want right when you want, you blame a man and you get what you want. Well, now nobody believes any of you because women have been taught to cry wolf. Men have been taught that no matter how many times a woman cries wolf, it might be real this time. It might be real this time. She might have really actually gotten beat up this time, or he might have kicked her to the curb, told her, hey, get the fuck out of my house and don't come back. And she didn't have any money because she spent it all on Louis Vuitton. Well done. Well done. Bad form, however. There's a lot of women that I stopped being friends with because they wanted to be sexist and mean and tell one of the 3 lies about men. The lies that destroy a man's life. If you're going to tell those lies knowing that they're lies, you don't get to be a part of my life. I'm not going to risk it. Ugh. Oh, there it is. Ugh. Nope, I'm actually sober right now, but give me about an hour.
Did you expect him to say anything else?
Hello.
Good morning. Okay,
Good
not even
morning.
good, but morning.
It absolutely is morning, and
Morning
it
is a
actually is a
Thursday.
good morning. I had a not so fun night, but then I get to come here to pleasant people. On the bright
Aw.
side, many of the places that I go, the women that I know, they hate the other women that I know, so they all hate each other and create drama and start drama and talk shit about each other. And then I get to come here and I get jokes and sassiness, and I'm like, oh my God, have I died and gone to heaven?
For the most part, we all enjoy each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you're all crazy, thank goodness.
No, we're not crazy. That's the problem.
All right, she's the
No, okay.
craziest. You must be a manager.
Well, I've been diagnosed as crazy, so.
Me too. Well, mentally ill, but that doesn't necessarily mean crazy.
Mentally unstable.
See, that's possible.
So I asked the question, if you were never ever told in your life that you were crazy or mentally unstable, do you believe that you are?
I don't think any of us are mentally stable. Most of us are in survival mode. A lot of people are on drugs, and then they say, oh my God, marijuana is the gateway drug. No, trauma is the gateway drug.
Trauma is the gateway. I like coming here too, because it's, especially when I get to work with Cindy.
I like the really, really tall, lanky guy because he looks goofy, but he's got brains in there somewhere.
Keith,
Yeah, he's a
he does look doofy, but he's pretty smart, and he's a nice guy overall. But he's a man.
He's a man.
In his 30s, so he's a big baby. We're all mom.
We're all babies. Every one of us, human beings, just happen to be babies. We never really grow out of
More
it.
than others.
Have
Men
you,
more than women.
especially when men are sick, I'm sorry, when men are sick and they feel
Oh,
like,
I thought you said women are sick.
No.
I'm good, but I'm sick.
when men are sick, they are the biggest babies
Oh, they
in the
are.
world. Biggest babies, or hurt, and you have to take care of them. They typically end up being the biggest baby in the world.
I've taken care of men when they're sick, and I've taken care of women when they're sick, and I've been sick. And when I'm sick, nobody takes care of me. When I've taken care of the men that were sick, most of the time they feel like they're doing something crappy by being sick.
I understand that's why men have turned into babies, typically because they're a man and they're supposed to be able to blah, 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 blah. But when you're sick and you can't, then Like
How
when they're hurt.
dare you have emotions? That's one of the biggest things. I'm told, Sean, you're allowed to have emotions. And then, Sean, you can talk about your emotions. And then the moment I start up, it's, you need to feel this way and you need to feel that way. And, you just need to think about it differently. And I think to myself, if it was tables turned
Tell me
here,
how to
that wouldn't be
fucking
that
think.
way.
I don't like it when
Or
people tell me how
feel.
to fucking think or feel. Or tell me how I feel. You
Tell
don't
me,
fucking
you
know
don't know how I feel. I am trying to tell you how I feel, and you're like, no,
Yeah,
you
biggest
feel
problem
this
lately.
because
All these guys are trying to tell me how I feel,
My
and I'm like,
ex-
you don't know how I feel.
And we're all
it's
taught
like
that.
a lot.
We're all taught that. I'm not supposed to care about your emotions. You're not supposed to care about mine. Because men and women are extremely different. And I'm like, we're really not.
No, it depends on how you're raised, though, because
That
I
is
was
it.
raised around a lot of gay people, gay men, gay women, and
Me too.
in the gay community, it is more accepted that men have emotions, just like women do.
Very much so. But not so much in the lesbian community, I've found out. There's lesbians that I'm friends with that are totally down with me having emotions, but most of my lesbian friends are just not okay with me expressing them. It's very odd for
Just
me.
keep it to yourself.
Yes, very
I
much.
don't want to hear about it.
I don't want to hear. Okay, I can see that.
I want you to listen to me because I have some female problems. However, I don't want you to mansplain anything to me. I just want you to listen because my girlfriend's driving me nuts. Okay. I'm sorry, Sierra. Sean, you're not supposed to say you're sorry. I'm sorry.
I am sorry that you're dealing with that right now.
Yep.
Why are you sorry? You didn't do anything wrong. I empathize with you.
Yes, there
so
you
I'm
go.
sorry.
And then we
This is
have
what
that
you're dealing
conversation,
with.
and then that eats up the entire conversation instead of it being the focus of that person who's having the issue. Which is why it's great coming here, because you guys aren't stupid. Plus, you deal with customers all day, and we know how they get.
Yeah, I
I
like to
should
kill
say
him with
that.
kindness. Oh, you're having a bad day? I'm sorry. I hope it gets better. Do you want me to tell you a joke?
Right? Oh my God, yes.
What did the doe say when she came out of the woods? It's the last time I do that for $2.
Oh my God. Like, however, that's a good one, and I'm going to remember it.
I love that one. It's dirty, but not dirty.
If a brown horse falls in the mud, is it still a dirty joke?
Oh, I think so.
Thank you. Says it's not a winner.
Yes, refried beans.
Oh my God, I love refried beans. Yeah, that's what I'd asked for if I'd have had me one of them quinceaneras. That's racist and sexist that I didn't get one. Oh my God, that's what us guys need to do, especially us white guys. All right, we need to go out there and we need to protest at the Capitol building about not getting a quinceanera for our 15th. Damn it. The last part was damn it.
Yeah, the middle part.
I didn't get a quinceanera for my 15th.
Okay.
If I put a ribbon in my hair, can I have one? Oh, sorry.
you going for?
Same stuff. Puts hair on your chest or burns it off, one or the other. Oh, come on. Wake me up. You're almost out of the high rev already.
Out of high rev?
Almost. I had to pump it like 10 times.
Okay.
Although those decanters there keep it pretty warm. I think they're more efficient than the ones they have at Starbucks.
These containers, canteens.
Yeah, and they're all more efficient than the ones they have at McDonald's.
Oh, I don't eat there.
I like the coffee there because it's only $1.
Okay, that's fair. I try not to eat out anyway, though.
Every time I see somebody doing that, I want to ask them if they were on Ritalin as a kid.
What? No. I like it light and sweet.
Like,
And I don't find myself sweet enough in life, so I'm trying to sweeten myself up.
Yeah, sometimes I'm so sweet I could probably get enough into my coffee just by stirring it with my fingers. But other days I had to turn it sour. Oh, that was smart of me. Ring ding 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 a ding ding. Da ding ding. Ring ding 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 a ding ding. You know, on my YouTube channel, I man bash and woman bash, and people haven't caught on to the fact that when I'm bashing men and women, I'm bashing them both about exactly the same thing. I just separate them into different segments, and that way the men can call me a traitor and the women can call me an idiot.
but you don't think it's like to heart.
That depends. When my best friend got her brains blown out, anything to do with that situation, I will always take to heart.
Okay.
But the whole point of it is the hypocrisy of it. And a lot of people point out, like, you know, you're such a hypocrite. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. When you tell me it's okay for people to do stuff to me and make excuses, well, why don't you make those excuses if I do it back?
696.
There's Buku. I'm against all violence, but I'm also not against defending yourself. If somebody punches you in the face, well, that's violence. If somebody is repeatedly punching you in the face and you restrain them or break their nose, that's not violence, that's self-defense.
Self-defense.
Restraining them is a defensive way to do it, and breaking their nose is an offensive way to do it.
So I worked I clicked on a train, a passenger train, and there was this man named EJ that had gotten out of prison. He'd been in prison since he was 19. He's a pedophile, which I don't understand how he was able to children anyway in the first place. And then I saw behaviors towards some of our super young coworkers that like bred food, like the little waitress girls. And I told him, you know, even though you're done with everything legally that you had to deal with to be out of prison, doesn't mean that you can't still see someone because you are showing the same behaviors that got you in prison in the first place. Okay, finally it got worse and it got worse and it got worse. So I finally went to the bosses and I was like, no, he can't be on the train. I don't understand how he's on the train anyway, being a pedophile. He shouldn't be around kids. And we employ 12, down to 12-year-olds to serve food. So they promised me that it was going to be taken care of. I got back to work on Monday morning and he was still there. And I lost my shit. And I took him aside and Jenna couldn't understand why I was so worked up. And I was like, well, because I wanted to punch him, but I was trying to prepare myself to get hit back. Because if you're going to hit someone, you better be prepared that he's a big man to get hit back. But no one was doing anything about it. And he was basically like in my face, like,
You know what happened? Do
so.
something about it. You end up living in your car in a parking lot in Tillamook, Oregon.
So my boss grabbed me, pulled me out, shifted me someplace else, and made sure that I never worked with the guy again. But that didn't fix the problem.
Exactly.
Got a ham sandwich and 2 ham bars.
Thank you for existing, by the way. She hit the nail right on the head. Moving doesn't take care of the issue. Doesn't take care of the problem. I told on pedophiles. I told on Ted Bollinger 2 weeks before Natalie got her brains blown out. We're told we're not allowed to do anything about the pedophiles, that they're protected. Why are they protected and us victims ain't? Those of us who survived that. Why are our predators protected? Why is Rose M. Kelly protected? Why is Danica Garner protected? Why is Ted Bollinger protected? One thing's for goddamn sure. I would hate to be somebody with the name Ted Bollinger, even if I wasn't related. Thank goodness I'm not related. But before I go talking trash on somebody else's family, I can't spare my own. I'm not related to any saints. My grandpa on my dad's side was a good man. My grandma on my dad's side was nuttier than squirrel turds. My grandpa on my mom's side was a child molester, raped his own daughter. What that lady in there was talking about with those behaviors, that's not easy. It's not easy to be around a person like that and not, I don't even know how to say that without getting my channel shut off. It's a matter of you're still exhibiting those behaviors. What the fuck is wrong with you? I shouldn't have to act like my predators to get you to acknowledge that doing that is wrong. That treating someone that way is wrong. You guys make any excuse for people to harm me. Any excuse, instead of acknowledging that it's wrong. But if I threaten to do such a thing back, then I'm a devil, huh? Protecting people is important to me. And I firmly believe that no victim should be left behind. You guys can go back and listen to my channel. I got man bashing on here. I got woman bashing on here. I basically blame everybody for not working together. Dear black people, there's lots of not black people who are being victimized. That's a lot of numbers. Dear women, there's a lot of men who have been through very, very similar things to what you have. That's a lot of numbers. You work together or you get nothing. And special rights are no rights at all. See, I've got special rights too, as a disabled person. But I'm also broke, so that means that my life doesn't matter. What I'm going through doesn't matter. Many of us feel that way. I'd like a pack of Lucky Strike full flavor 100s, unless you have any El Cheapo packs. All gone? Yeah, I'll take the 100. The ones without a filter, that's what they sell in Colorado. $8.93, that's the year I was born. So full of my eyes are brown. I know, but it makes me feel younger.
What? How are you?
Perfect in every way. Except lying.
be humble, perfect in every way. And each morning I look in the mirror, and I get better looking day. Thank you. To know me, yes ma'am, to love you. I must be a heck of a man. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble, but I'm doing the best that I can. Alright, moral of the story here is, if you think I'm blaming you for the world's problems, you're right. I blame myself as well. We work together or we get nothing. We may not agree with the color of shit, but we can agree that eating it is not healthy, I would hope. We may not agree on the color of shit, but we can agree that it stinks. Can we not? Maybe the reason that you guys can't agree on the color of shit is because you got different diets. If you eat a whole bunch of that Incredible Hulk Jello, your turds will be bright green. If you're a baby, your poop might come out looking the color of mustard, a dingy yellow. If you tried to overdose and they had to pump your stomach and give you activated charcoal, your turds might be black. When it comes to Hitman, she's right. Expect to get hit back. But also understand some things are absolutely fucking worth it. I was on an Amtrak from California to Washington State. Went and saw my dad up there back in 2019, I believe. January of 2019. I can see how being on that train with a pervert would drive you to fucking drinking, would drive you to all sorts of crazy shit. We don't like pedophiles, so why are we allowing a bunch of rich pedophiles to make laws that are making it easy for pedophiles to get away? I exposed Natalie Marie Bollinger's father 2 weeks before she got her brains blown out. He keeps getting busted with meth and illegal firearms. Meanwhile, I've literally never been busted with a firearm or meth. And they keep letting him go free and treat me like I'm some sort of gun-toting, meth-smoking fucking moron out to destroy the earth. Put you in a fucking turtle suit. You don't know what that reference is, then you're lucky. It means you haven't been locked up. You tell on a bad guard or on a bad cop, they put you on suicide watch, take away your clothes, and put you in a fucking turtle suit. It's a suicide smock. You see this ring right here? I made that out of a suicide blanket. These things are made so that they can't be ripped or torn or shredded in a way in which you can commit suicide with it. I made ropes out of mine. They said I couldn't do it. Oh, dummies. I'm smarter than the average bear. I also had plenty of free time, so it was just a matter of time. I think it was after their 7th suicide blanket that they stopped doing that. Dr. Ted Hale told him, you know what, he's making ropes out of it and sliding them underneath his door so that you guys can see them. Obviously, he's letting you know that he's not trying to commit suicide. If he wanted to, he could do so at any point in time. Duh! That's the point. They kept wanting to put me on suicide watch for telling on the guards. That actually makes me suicidal. We teach boys and girls differently. Many of the women that I know, you know what it took for them to change their mind? Being recorded. I suggested to Mandy Hughes, well, I planted the idea, I guess. I told her, you know, a lot of people, they think they're a certain way until they hear themselves speaking. I explained to her that I go back and I listen to some of the conversations that I've had with people, and I realized where I'd screwed up, and also oftentimes where other people screwed up, or where something was taken in a wrong way or a wrong fashion. What did Mandy Hughes do? Or sorry, not Mandy Hughes, Mandy Singer. She recorded herself when she was chastising her grandkids, and she went back and listened to it afterwards, and she went, you know, I really sound like a bitch. I think I explained to her that that was more of an asshole thing to do. We're supposed to get 6 days of rain, so I'm gonna not be getting a whole lot done this week. There's some indoor things I gotta do at the library. And there's I gotta get a fucking comb. Otherwise, I'm just gonna continue itching. I'm also gonna continue to point out that we work together or we get nothing. When we're teaching every woman in America how to play victim, we've done something horrible. When it comes to being sick, for guys being sick or for girls being sick, it sucks. It sucks when you have to just power through it as a mother or a father. I'm not a mother or a father. I have had to power through being sick more than once for somebody else's kids, though. Can't be losing your job. Somebody's got to watch the kids. But then when you start seeing those behaviors like the lady here was speaking about, you got to say something. If I say something, nobody's going to hear me. I'm a homeless and disabled male. A lot of people told me about them being raped in the hopes that I would do something about it. But they didn't want to call it in with me or turn it in with me. They wanted me to speak up. So I did. I also explained to them, hey, if you don't try to turn this in with someone, you're a lot more likely to get blown off. You're a lot less likely to get anything done. So it's a matter of having in-person support. A lot of people, they had their kids taken away, and with many of these situations, I understand exactly why. But there's other ones that it's just completely wrong, like Tamsin Bowles and her husband never should have had their kids taken. Amy Kalina Kingery, yeah, she had her kids taken more than once, and for good reason. Amy Kingery isn't the only one who had her children taken more than once. There's also people like Rayanne Ingersoll who felt that because she was angry because she missed her sons, that it was okay for her to harm Amy Kalina Kingery's daughters. No, that's not okay. The courts wouldn't give Amy her daughters back because her daughters didn't want to go back. According to Joshua Rayborn, one of the girl's abusers, they wrote a letter to the judge saying that they liked the foster home they were in. They didn't want to go back and live with their mom. I understand. And it was well worth the time I spent in jail to make sure that they were safely away from Rayanne Ingersoll. It was well worth the time that I spent in prison being physically, psychologically, and sexually abused. It was well worth it to try to protect y'all from sexual predators and physical aggressors like registered Nebraska sex offender Robert Franklin Warnick. We've got sex offenders like the one here who served only a few days in jail. Not even a month. A few days. What's the average sentence for a female sex offender? 8 months. If it weren't for that, there would be 3 times as many sex offenders in prison that are women. 3 times as many. That is quite significant. They say women are less likely to be repeat offenders. No, women are less likely to get busted to begin with. And boys are taught they're supposed to keep their mouth shut. They're supposed to be glad they're getting laid. Which brings me to one of my meth heroes. There's a woman who is a meth addict. I've known her since she first moved to Chapel. I was the first person that her and her mother met when they moved to Chapel. I was the first person outside of their family that they spoke with in Chapel, Nebraska. This woman's name is Jackie Payne Ballou. Used to be Jackie McKenzie. When Brenda was having sex with Jackie's underage cousin, instead of saying that he should be proud of himself for having sex with a 28-year-old, what ended up happening there? Jackie did the right thing and turned Brenda in. It sucks that Brenda only got 8 months. I've spent more time locked up for turning in sexual predators than Brenda Griffith served for being a sexual predator. Let that sink in.